Thanks a lot, lady.
Good evening, folks. Regular meeting of the Armour Council. This disclaimer is to inform all participants that this meeting conducted in person and via Zoom will be recorded for record purposes. By participating in the meeting, you consent that the recording may contain, one, your video stream, including images of yourself, two, your audio stream. This includes any opinions you contribute. Anyone attending the recorded meeting may have aspects of their personal data recorded if they actively participate or not. By staying in the meeting, you consent to being recorded. By consenting and attending the meetings virtually or in person, participants also agree to recordings being posted to YouTube or other distribution services. I'd like to acknowledge the First Peoples and Traditional Territory. Armour Township is situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe. Armour Township recognizes the historical and contemporary contribution of local First Nations and the peoples of Turtle Island. First up, we have a set of minutes. Council Township of Armour approved the minutes of the regular council meeting held on January 13th, 2026 as circulated. If I can get a mover. Dorothy. Sure. And Jerry. Any errors, omission, edits? All those in favor? That's carried. And just as a note, forgot to make mention that we have Councillor Wendy is online on Zoom tonight. We have two delegations. So first of all, do we have any declarations of pecuniary interests and general nature thereof based on tonight's agenda? And none noted. Okay, we have two delegations tonight. First up, we have Amy from Waste Management Administrator, January 2026 report. Over to you, Amy.
Over here, so you don't have to pretend Charlene is me. Okay, so you have a report in front of you. I'm going to sort of simplify. Got some notes in front of me. This will be the Tri-Council report for February, as well as the draft budget. So I'm going to skip over the budget part, go through the body of the report, and then we can chat about the budget at the end, if that's okay.
Okay.
So there in front of you is our landfill utilization rate, a little higher than what we're used to. I played a little game with our drone pilot, didn't tell him about the extra volume that went into the landfill. And when he was finished, he gave me a shout and was like, I don't know what's going on. My measurements are out. I'm not sure what. He was actually accurate to what we were actually putting in. So he sort of verified his information for me by knowing there was an overage that he wasn't used to seeing in the last 5 years. So those 5 demolitions, I just wanted to speak to that for a bit. Landfills, some of them are segregating construction and demolition waste now. Some ship for disposal to preserve their capacity, shipping for disposal at another landfill. Some also ship to recyclers. Again, both of those are at a cost. There's not a revenue to be generated unless you're the one receiving it and recycling it. That's kind of the deal. So shredded or grinded, it's used for other materials. Lots of that online that you can look up. Those 5 demolitions convert to 1,000 metric tons. So if we were to ever consider segregating to ship for disposal elsewhere to conserve our capacity, 1,000 metric tons disposal at a private landfill with scales usually runs between 150 to 210 a metric ton. So 1,000 tons works out to about 174,000 using the average. Again, that's just the disposal cost. You would have to look at bins, which would work out to about 300 bins to ship 1,000 tons. And you're looking at about $99,000 to run 300 bins. So just some food for thought there. That's not something I don't think we're ever going to entertain at this point, unless we could find a solution to recycling the material, segregating on site, and finding an end market that's willing to pay us. That's the only way I would approach it. Just food for thought.
Would the only other alternative have the recyclers taking material somewhere else instead of us?
Yeah, have the demolitions taken somewhere else. So that's what others are doing right now. They're either not accepting any construction demolition waste, or they're segregating it and shipping it to preserve. Some have, so they'll realize the capacity gain, but it's the cost that is it worth the cost of the landfill?
Because right now we got 7.5 years left. So we don't want to fill it right now. I don't think we'd want to fill it with
Our own,
our own house demolitions.
so
It's
this,
sort of shooting yourself in the foot.
so this would be a discussion for tri-council, I would
Right.
assume, because we would be telling all residents, if you're demolishing a house, then you will be taking it elsewhere. Small construction renovation projects, I would assume we would still entertain.
How are we charging for that now? With full demolition, is it just by the truckload as it
It's
comes in?
by the truckload because we don't have scales. Scaled sites, they're gonna pay. Some realize the savings because it saves them driving back and forth to the landfill where they put in the bin, ship it, and they're gone. So, like the hotel renovation that's going on right now, they realized after chatting with me, it's better to put it in the bin and go. So we received $35,000 for those 5 demolitions. There's the other.
Right.
Are we charging enough? If we try to charge more, is it specifically for demolitions? So this would be a discussion that I would suggest we have further down the road. Chat about capacity.
Well, in that 1 year, we lost 1.5 years in our landfill. So how much of that 5 houses of demolition? Would it be a half a year maybe?
What about using the wood, like putting the building stuff, probably you can get away with putting shingles with it. I'm presuming you would eliminate insulation and vinyl siding, I would say, but I was at the landfill over by Harbor. And all their wood had been recently shredded, chewed up or whatever. And I said, don't you use that for land cover? And they said, no, they just mulched it up to make it small and they just pushed it into the wood. Like they didn't use it. Like Sunridge does that, I believe. Do they not? Yeah. They get a pile.
So I have a gentleman that's interested in grinding that kind of material. I've seen the pictures of what it looks like. And I would do 2 steps like you wanted to do in the past, put the brush in a separate pile because that'll be nice clean mulch. And then wood would be grinded and used for cover.
Right. But when they grind the wood, like let's say how anal, how thorough do you get? Like, is it just wood? But like, I don't think you'd want to see insulation in it and vinyl siding, right? And I mean, that will be a contractor. I mean, I'm very cautious when I take my truckload of stuff. I put something down, I put a tarp on it, and then if it's something else, so I try to sort it. Like if there's metal, if there's straight garbage, or depending on the landfills I go to, I'm fairly familiar with what they want, and I make it quick and simple for me when I'm there. Whereas some people will load it in a truck and go, it's all going to the same place, and they don't get the time to sort it out. But it'd be a learning curve. But
And if we were going to entertain this, putting it out to the public so that they understand why we're doing it and how they need to show up at the site. But the demolitions, they have to call me anyway. So if we're going to put them off, then we need to that chat. The big ones, like these are house demolitions, whether it was part in a fire in Ryerson or one that was condemned by Armour's building inspector, and another one that was just somebody demolishing a cottage to build a new home. So
you'd almost have to have they must have a pretty good idea of landfill. Like, I come in with a truckload of shingles, that's a common thing. Like, they must have a pretty good idea who's bringing what in. Here's our new list. Like, if we start going down that path, they need to be aware. Because I'm not around the area so much, like locally. I know there was a lot of stuff being brought in from out of the way, because on my way home, I'll drop it off at Burke's Falls. Like that was a common statement, and the prices reflect that. I think no, I don't want to be bearer of bad news to people, but I think if our prices reflected, it's cheaper to take it to friggin' Almac Harbor than it is coming to here. It'll stay in Almac Harbor. Like,
I think we actually are.
Getting better there?
We are above others because Kearney's had this battle recently, and I think McMurphy on Teeth just went down this road again. And they started out with 100 bags for them just recently. So I think we are still, I could go back and do that research again. It's easy. I can pull them off the websites and see if we are in line.
Our shingles are less than half the price of over on Almac Harbor. I know that.
So, and are they putting them in the landfill or are they taking them?
No, they're dumping them. They're not in the land. So they're where I take the shingles. All their garbage goes into container. It's being shipped out. Correct. The shingles get pushed into a heap. They stay on location. But it was like $10. And then when they went the next time, it was like, well, the first time it was 25, and it was like, oh, give me 10. So it was like, well, it's better driving home.
Okay. So definitely room for some discussion on that one. And it potentially could run into another section. So, so a total of 8,000 cubic meters of waste roughly in 7 years, annual fill rate. Potentially we could still have 9.5 years rather than 7.5 is what I'm saying there.
So mining, like we were talking about mining as well, right?
That's without mining. So new consultant on board. When I get to the budget, I've reduced my price now that I know who's our new consultant. I have chatted with them in the interview about discussing the mining project that we had presented from our previous consultant. So I've left a little buffer there so that we can chat with them, because with only 7.5 years left, we need to start looking at what they feel is the best approach now.
Right.
So something for later on this year. So I'll be meeting with them, and I think they want to meet with council in March, and that's DM Wills. So. Okay. Had our site inspection with the ministry. Last site inspection occurred in 2015, whereas they should occur every 3 years. Okay. Started out with a non-compliance, brief discussion to refresh the inspector's memory, and non-compliance was removed. I made him aware of the packer being away for 3 months for repairs and the delay that returning. And he assumed that we were doing no weekly compaction or cover. Whereas we actually had a bulldozer on site and we were doing what we needed to do. So once 6 months later, when you're presenting a report, it's hard to remember what you actually saw in June. So anyway. Some bag tag information there. Again, Armour's over the course. I do have some adjustments to make after having a discussion with private hauler, but I can't do that until I gather some more information. Again, so swipe cards are there, just information, unless anyone has any questions. I would like to highlight the fact that I forgot to change the numbers on the never used or deactivated. It's not really here nor there. It's just information. So, meeting with the private hauler, I had to go over his client list with him to ensure that he's recording people properly. I hate South Porn Lake Road. That's all I have to say. Because it is a nightmare.
Is that right?
That's where we ran into some problems because he was recording Armour residents from South Thorn Lake as Ryerson residents.
Right.
So I have overages for Ryerson's bag count that need to be brought back to Armour at some point, so.
Yeah, there's a fine line there because I never knew where the freaking road was, where it wasn't, or where it was supposed to be.
And then you throw in the magneto on and the holy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I got some nice charts for more information. You can see where your months, lots of people throwing out garbage, lots of people coming to the landfill. And then of course the residents paid bags. Again, you can see later in the year, they have to pay for more. So everything goes up. Ryerson's numbers as well. And then our wonderful diversion programs and everything we did this year. Tires, we're having some fun with tires again. They changed some targets, so they're not taking as many away as they need to, or not taking as many in as need to be taken away from the sites. So hoping that that'll change right shortly. So we have a lot for 2025 when it comes to Blue Box. We even have a little revenue there. I do not anticipate any revenue for cardboard in 2026 unless some crazy thing happens, but I don't believe we'll have a full truck. So never know. No questions about diversion?
So are we stockpiling tires right now? Because they're,
We were last cleaned out in October, which is right around when the tire change season. We took a couple of loads from the local tire changer. And he popped by to see me because obviously he's buying tires, so he gets the same information. A lot of the guys that he's buying tires from are pushing them to get the message out to MPs, MPPs to get the tires moving again because I have to stop accepting tires. He's going to have to stop accepting tires. And he can't. So.
stockpile it in that place outside of Sudbury, but it's massive.
500,000 or something.
So that was the one on the news with William Day and the charges.
Yeah. Is that right?
Yes.
Straight from our Township.
Moving on to the Blue Box transition. Sorry. Had nothing to do with any other. They just come and they take our tires and that's it. That's all I.
Yeah.
That's all I know. And it was really good. Okay. So Blue Box transition, we're moving into our 3 one-year terms. I know you are all aware of it because I talk to you guys all the time about this stuff. What I would like to do at the Tri-Council is get into that subcommittee, looking at Rod Lakelock there, because I would really like you to be on that committee to look at the assets and consider what we're going to configure as a new site with everything that it is now. So, because I don't want to take charge and knock down buildings and then find out later that people did not want those buildings knocked down. But we have a lot of encumbered space. So that's what I would like to do is ask the other 2 councils if they would like to throw a member at me and we can get together. And
Makes sense.
don't really need a clerk to hold the meeting. I've done them in the past myself, so I do that, or clerks could come along as well. So
Is there potential in 9.5 years for the same site to be changed into a transfer site? Like where, like Perry does, big bins brought in and they're just, yeah. Okay. So that might be something to consider when considering what building should be moved now.
what's in the future?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I got some highlighted sections there. I believe they're in yours, but I don't have to read specifically. But we have, we're now on the circular materials website. So any residents with questions should be visiting those 2 specific. So Armour, Ryerson both have their own microsite on circular materials. Just some information from those microsites for you. And then the Village of Works Falls has their own microsite. They have a little more information because when they don't get their garbage picked up, they have to call in Tara. Not Armour Township, like they've been doing. Anyway. Okay. And then I pulled, this last one is the public education information from Circular Materials. I went ahead and fixed my own. Styrofoam does not print well. Styrofoam is in the blue bin now,
All styrofoam?
not construction. Packaging foam.
Oh, okay.
The black one too?
Oh,
That's good.
So it is good public information. We've all just learned something.
and with that, I think I have come out at the end of the report, and all is that is budget. So I have 2025 as a final, and I just have a few notes. Other than that, I have to make some adjustments because I thought the lines adjusted, those lines that tell you what line to look at. Unless I highlighted it, which I didn't, you won't notice it. So we have a little extra revenue when it comes to Blue Box in 2025 because the CIF, Continuous Improvement Fund, rolled up. So they threw the distribution across the province. So a little extra money there. 2026 for Circular Materials, that is the budgeted actual, $500 a month less than last year, but we're still not paying to ship and process Blue Box. So I'm in the process of reviewing some job descriptions because they do not accurately reflect what our staff are doing nowadays. So I hope to be back at the February meeting with a couple of job descriptions for you. My audit and accounting fees was totally understated, and I have actually just learned since the printing of the budget for this agenda that my actual for 2025 is understated as well. Even though we received a quote in December of 2024, I was not advised, but I have been advised now. So, thanks. Propane cylinders was a big hit in the hazardous waste last year, looking into either a rebate or another way, either Brendar and Bracebridge, another company that would do it at a reasonable rate, because $5.76 per cylinder is not something I think we want to pay. We didn't pay it in the past. Why are we paying it today? So the big one, the big overage when it came to contracted services was the rental of a bulldozer and the rental of a skid steer. So, yeah, my mechanic, which I am starting to think I need to hunt for a new one because we're having issues with what they say is fixed and what we see is not fixed. So, other than that, unless there's something jumping off the page that you would like to chat about, overall, my draft budget for 2026 brings us in with a 10% decrease.
Yeah, fantastic. How come?
Well, the operating expenditures is a 6.8% increase. My capital's reduced a shit. So.
Okay. So that's 16%. So how exactly are we doing that? That's incredible.
No, 6% up on operating, 10%
Oh, so
down
4%.
on
Okay.
overall.
Okay. Beautiful.
Amazing you've been able to do that, Amy, with all the gyrations you've had to go through, the changes and the circular materials and everything else.
We're actually closing the dump 5 days a week, but
Well, we did reduce the hours for the cold spell, and we've chatted, the staff and I, whether we continue to do something like that. That was a really cold snap the other day, and I would not have wanted to be there myself. So,
do we have stats for like how much usage is happening on? I'm certain this is like an idea that has just popped into my head and just food for thought. How much is the landfill utilized on a Thursday from December till March?
I could tell you that.
Like, I wonder if it would make sense to be closed 3 days a week in the winter.
I don't think that.
No.
Give it to your friends.
Yes, I'm just curious, right? Like we're closed Tuesday, Wednesdays. I'm wondering how much is utilized.
Yeah.
On. Yeah. And I mean, the ratepayers might be like, absolutely not. We already don't
Credit
like.
cards. Can give you all sorts of stats out.
Of course, fantastic. Okay.
So I will bring some back for the next meeting.
And absolutely, when it's freezing cold, it's not ethical. We can't have people outside when it's minus 35.
Well, we can, but
What we've discussed in the past from a staffing perspective is kind of going from a +30 to a -30 window. If it's like you need to really start considering, especially with some of the new legislation that's coming out for, say, working in the heat, I would say the same applies to working in extreme cold. There needs to be measures put into place where people can kind of get some refuge. So when Amy had come and said, I think we need to adjust some hours, we just took a look at the forecast as to when it was going to be into more reasonable temperatures. And said, okay, well, we'll open here because we know if we close for the whole day, there's going to be some unrest. But I would have probably postured that it was still probably pretty cold even for the 4 hours they were in there. But I think the reality is we need to keep people safe even if it does potentially inconvenience some folks from time to time.
We're obligated to, like as an employer, we're obligated to.
Well, I mean, the reality too is people have the right to refuse unsafe work.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the thing is, if it's 33 below, Jerry's not going to the dump.
That's the other piece.
Why open?
pouring rain and go, are
Even if-
you having a nice day today?
It'd be nice to have a set policy though, that we could send it with the tax bill and say, look, if we get this temperature,
It
we're.
exists on the sign, so if it's minus 32, they're not going to be open.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Because it's frustrating when you pull up to something and it says open Monday to Friday, 10 till 2, and you're like, it's 1 o'clock. It's Tuesday, but so if it's right there, then
One of
like,
them electronic signs there.
Brad has asked me about one of those signs that you can just change the letters on. And
Strong uses, sorry, I don't know a lot, but Strong uses theirs. And that's why we get so much attendance for our hazmat days, is because that's what they see, it is right there. And we ask people when they come in, like, how did you hear about it? Strong sign, whether they're from Strong or not, you're driving right by, you see it.
Yeah.
I do not have the information with me today, but I have priced those for emergency management. So.
Yeah.
Probably really what it is.
and there is no refuge. Like you said, there is,
Yes,
if you're but
we have heated buildings and we provide them with very warm clothing.
But if people are driving in and you're like, I've been outside for an hour straight, I'm going to go in and warm up. You can't be like 1 second. Like they're going to honk.
So the other thing is we have 3 staff members and
Oh yes, right.
that's
Okay.
something else we've discussed. One is part-time now. So on the extreme cold days, I'm going to let Brad know that perhaps maybe you could attend today so that there could be more regular breaks.
Perfect. That's crazy.
Questions for Amy on the budget? Looks good. Nice to see a decrease overall.
Yes, if you could go to every department,
Yeah.
the decrease is
Put this up 20% because you put yours down 10.
Well, my thing is, I know that the fire hall is a huge expense for the 3 municipalities, so it would be in the best respect to try and put off anything that I can.
Appreciate that.
Things that cannot be put off will not be.
It's going to be a challenging year. So
So take your garbage to the fire department.
Well, when we start burning mattresses, we'll have a nice fire hall that they can leave from to go.
Oh, Wendy has
I think Wendy has a question.
go ahead, Wendy.
I don't have a question. I just want to say very well done, Amy. I'm not sure how you managed to reduce that budget, but that's excellent.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's great.
Your treasurer appreciated it too.
Not bad. Anything else, Amy?
That's it.
Any other questions for Amy?
Look on the list for your meeting and keep me informed where you're going, where you're committed.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, next up we have,
You have a resolution.
we do have a resolution. Yeah, you're right. Council Township of Armour approves the 2026 waste management draft budget and directs staff to include the budget in the tri-council meeting agenda of February 23rd, 2026. Need a mover? Dorothy?
Sure.
And Rod. All those in favor? That's carried.
couple meetings ago, you had said there was a meeting with, or a group that got together with Ontario Hydro. Remember, keep me posted on that too.
I will. They usually send out an invitation when they're having something close, but I'll be chatting with the field officer because our compliance review is going on right now. So I'll hit her up to get me a date.
Okay. Next up, we have Danica McCann and the Recreation Coordinator report for January 2026. Over to you, Danica.
I apologize, I had it printed, but still on the printer. So I'm gonna squint here, zoom in as much as I can. So,
Computer.
no, it's great. Oh, you're a gem, thank you. So for our winter carnival, we've done a few little changes. Nothing major by all means. We're just kind of scooting some events around from day to day to hopefully try to make our Sunday not so long, so our volunteers can eventually get home sometime that weekend. We've got a good amount of volunteers this year. We're out canvassing for donations right now for Carnival, and that seems to be going well. We have been getting a lot of monetary donations, and that seems to be really good for them and great for us. We're able to go in, buy what we actually need, and go over well for our silent auction and our elimination prizes. So that's that for Carnival. It would be January 20th, 21st, or sorry, February 20th, 21st, 22nd. So again, the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we've also enrolled or rolled out our Amelia Smart Rec program. That was a lot more training than I was anticipating for rolling out just our day camp, but we have successfully rolled out our day camp, and we have right now, as of right now, we have 10 people enrolled, not necessarily for all of summer camp right now, but 10 families have been, or 10 children have enrolled so far. The feedback from that so far is right now with the program, we have to individually do each day because their system isn't set up to be able to take installment payments for week and day. You can pick one or the other. So in our first year, we took enrollment for day camp for solid weeks, and we struggled to get enough families to sign up for solid weeks because if mom works Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, she doesn't need care for those days. She just needs it for Thursday, Friday, right? So they were having to sign up the child for the whole week, putting themselves out money to ensure they had childcare, because childcare around here was at that time a little more scarce. Since then, we have more day camps that have opened up in the area. But so rolling out the day that you can apply for solid weeks with getting a discount. So right now our price is $65 a day if you do individual days, and it's $60 a day if you do a solid week together. So a 5 consecutive. So right now our program is only allowing you to select single days. That's about the only complaint we've had. And we're working on, we just met with a lady again today, our trainer. We're working on potentially looking at like a multi-pass. So unfortunately that would still mean you have to purchase upfront 10 sessions, let's say, to get 2 weeks. But you would be able to select week 1, week 2. So it's just kind of playing around with their system, how it could work for us. But other than that, it seems to be it's taken our workload and made us able to look into doing different programs now. We're able to shift where our workload was going from and working in 3 different, can't even think, programs. And now we're working in one program and able to look at offering other programs and events to the community center, because we've taken, I'm going to say 5%, I don't have that stat right now, off of our workload to be able to look at other things right now. So that's kind of nice. Speaking of day camp, last year, you can see the statistics there. We had 94% capacity. We were at 94% capacity with 1,043 people out of 1,110 spaces being taken, with 118 different children. And so far, it's sounding like majority of our day camp, our regulars, I'm going to call them, that has started with us since the year 1, are returning. We have one family that says they're going to do 50% with us and 50% with another camp, but still returning just at a different capacity. Any questions so far? Incident reports. We had 2 incidents occur at the community center. One being the ice rink trespassing, no damage was done. Somebody scaled the fence, got in, skated. The rink was already kind of done for anyways at that point. So no real damage necessarily to the rink. I don't think that might be, Dylan might be able to speak to that more, but we ended up getting more rain and it being even warmer the next day.
And Dylan did a nice report on Facebook.
I've seen that, yeah. And then sports shed. This is my second time so far, but just being in the recreation coordinator role that somebody has broken, more or less a seek shelter. You're not seeing, we found, when we went back, we found like food wrappers. So they're not necessarily looking to break in and steal anything. Everything looked to be there. I'm sure maybe might find a baseball missing or something by the time we go looking for it.
Is this like the back shed? Not where the rink is, but
yeah, correct.
The one behind the building?
Yeah. We've had it happen in the past. I want to say it might even be the same person. We don't have cameras over there and we're not like I'm not wading through deep snow to look every day either. We just so happened to come back from Christmas. Was it Christmas holidays or weekend? It was the weekend. Come and see that the door was kind of like,
can we put a note on it to say, if you are seeking shelter, please call on our bylaw number? I don't want somebody in there. I think it's a child mad at their parents. So I think it's more, okay,
they're gone for the night. They're going to go back. I think they're upset with their parents by the looks of what's being left behind.
I don't want somebody sleeping in there overnight though, for any reason. We need to have something on the, if you are seeking shelter, please contact on our bylaw. Or something, right? Like we can't have kids breaking in to sleep. I've been pretty mad at my parents. I'm not going to freeze to death over it. And I don't want them freezing to death on Armour Township's property.
Well, it depends on the situation. If the kid has a phone too, if it is a child.
Well, they're old enough to do illegal well, it's not legal anymore, but do activities. They're old enough probably to have a phone, but I think they're old enough outside of common sense. I think they're just looking for a night out or.
Well, okay.
The older days you went to a gravel pit.
Yeah.
Now they're going to a shed.
Well, if something bad happens in the shed, we're liable, right? Right.
They could break into anywhere though. Like they could then go to the next. They could go to Dylan's shed.
So lock you up.
I think if we do believe they're using it to seek shelter, I would love for them to have another option.
We can put like a laminated poster.
Call
Dorothy.
No.
People will seek shelter there.
Yeah.
They had people were camping in the outhouse over at the Valley Mart.
I had a guy living in my trailer on my property that I did not know about.
We had somebody in the month bus.
Yeah. So I would feel horrible if that person burned to death or froze to death, as opposed to just calling by law and having them set up with like appropriate shelter, right?
They could call I would say the OPP rather than by law. Like,
It's locked.
it was locked. Yeah. But it like up until we get a new door, thankfully we didn't put our new fancy lock on. It's just like padlocked. So if you're strong enough to
Figure it out. Yeah.
a bobby pin will get you in. And cold. Program updates. We had our handmade workshop which was like making moccasins, mitts, and hats. That always goes over really, really well. We've had people ask if we can do it again this year. We are going to stick to once a year so that we can keep our numbers high for when we do run it. We don't want to saturate the market more or less with that. We are starting cornhole again February 5th, running for another 12 weeks. This program thought you were crazy when Dave Gray said, hey, let's run cornhole. I'm like, nobody's going to show. People come out of the woodworks. People come from Trent Creek. People come from Bracebridge, all the way just to play cornhole on Thursdays. And it supports, I wouldn't say quite a bit, but it supports other programs that we can offer at a decent rate to be able to, for kids and stuff.
Do you go, Dave?
Apparently everybody showed up at Dave Gray. I was just about to say.
Under that bus.
I had booked for the season. It just seemed like everything happened on Thursday nights. And on the rare occasions where it didn't, both Raquel and I were like, it's time to it's time to hibernate but yeah, I did see that pop up actually in your advertising, and I'm like, it's New Year. It's New Year. Yeah.
To go back to that program, we are going to roll out our rentals first-ish week of March. That'll also be really, really nice. Right now, we're still working in that extra program, but rentals don't come as often as registration for programs. So that rental portion will be nice in the aspect of we're not having to look through those 3 programs and make sure we're not triple booked. Or if Dorothy say is wanting to rent, I want to say she has 24 hours is how we have it set up. She can hold that spot for 24 hours and without submitting go, but then she can finalize her details that are in that application, rather than we've had it quite a few times in the last year because rentals have gone up significantly. Where Dorothy's going to rent it, but Shar comes in and she's like, oh, I'm going to talk to Melissa because Danica is off on Fridays, and Melissa books in, and nothing against one or the other. It's just nothing. We don't put anything in that calendar to waive payment, right? So at least you have that 24 hours to kind of get all your details and kind of go from there. Any questions?
Any questions for Danica on the report?
I may just add with the incident reporting. So when an incident like that happens, there's a report that gets filled out that we log all of the information. The video capture, I do have a copy of that. I will keep it for 30 days for review, and that's something we can go over with bylaw as well. I think just to speak to the notion that there was a mention on social media being able to of seeing the footage. That was something. I think it was an isolated incident that Danica and I had discussed. It was our contractor that provided the notice that something had happened, and I guess the way the office is set up is such that it's kind of hard not to have a view of the screen as things are getting pulled up. So in terms of moving forward, it may have to be a closed door, because realistically in our policy it does say that only authorized personnel have access to that footage. And so we'll call it a learning opportunity baked into it. But right now, the only people that have access to that footage to be able to view it is rec staff, bylaw, and myself, as well as any authorized, say it's OPP or any other investigating authority that would need access to that for the purposes of crime. So that regrettable that was just kind of the happenstance of seeing that, and then that was then taken to Facebook as here's the description and all of that. Unfortunately, we are not such that our policies for our contractors, we have a kind of a no social media or no posting kind of clause, but it is something that we've discussed on a couple of occasions. And I think from looking at the use of our recorded footage, that's something we've discussed internally as staff. The phone call then either comes to myself directly, and if I'm unavailable, then it goes to bylaw to determine what our next steps are, who do we contact, and bylaw can help to direct. Well, we're out driving, we can see, if we see these individuals, we can report on any information that we're able to gather, or this needs to go to the OPP right away and they can investigate and they can patrol. So we were able to iron out. So this is the first year we've had a video surveillance policy in place. Able to iron out some details, but the incident reporting is there. And thankfully, in this case, there was no immediate damage caused by that incident, but it allows us to tighten up our process. And I think it's important too for anybody who might tune into this later to realize that yes, it's, we are not handing out this information. It's and we take the gathering, the collection, and the use of that very seriously.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the Facebook did mention that Armour Township had the recording from what I read. So,
I think more generally, we have to be very careful about a contractor representing Armour Township in there, whether it's their own Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
The assumption when you look at it is that Armour's posting this, and it doesn't represent necessarily what we're saying or what we're seeing.
We're not even posting, but sharing with.
Yeah. It's a concern.
Yes.
Yeah. So I think that's something that is easily controlled through internal processes. And if the hard drives or the stored media has to be looked at, then we know
Yeah.
let's keep the loop closed and report back what we have to report back. So gave us the opportunity to revisit that policy, sharpen up on that. And there are actually releases. So there's the sign-offs that the employees that have access to that have signed to be recognizing that there are controls in place for that information.
We have since bought one-way tint, more or less, for our door. We had it kind of covered, but it wasn't like you can still see through if you were to kind of peek. For instance, like that, because there's a lot of times that it's rented upstairs. So if we are pulling up footage from previous, anybody could just kind of stand back enough and watch at the same time.
Okay. Other questions for Danica? Wendy, any questions in Zoom land? Okay.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Hosted a meeting yesterday regarding the carnival. Anybody want to make pancakes on a Sunday?
I'm doing it already.
I'll be there.
I think
I'm in as well for pancakes on Sunday. Yep.
Em said she'd help out too, Danica.
Jerry?
I can't stand a long time, but I can eat them.
Yeah.
It's quality control.
Maybe. We'll see.
It's usually a good time.
I know.
There's singing,
I normally
there's
go there.
coffee.
I normally go there and eat them.
I eat them and serve them. I taste test.
Takes the bite off everybody.
Yeah.
You're gonna love this one.
Okay, thank you, Danica.
I hide them if Rod does a pour batch first.
Burn the first batch.
No, you don't have to have a partner. You can come in singles and the bar's open.
I recommend not going across from me because Dave's lovely wife did, and as a mother, when things fly towards me, I catch them, even if they're supposed to go into the cornhole. I was like, oops.
That's a solid 10 on reflexes.
I was in my hand for a good couple of seconds before I was like, oh, you're not meant to be catching these things.
In fairness, it was off in the Rube flip anyways.
It's safer goes.
Okay. Thank you, Danica.
Yep.
Appreciate it. You're welcome to stay as always.
That's gonna be cold.
Oh, yeah.
My eyes appreciated.
Okay, we have no accounts for approval tonight. We're into applications. This is the road deviation transfer, Pearl and Jack Lake Road. We do have Ted Williams online if we have any questions, but maybe, Shar, before I read this out, read out the resolution, if you could maybe give us the highlights.
So this request came through in a previous council meeting. And Ted met with Dave Creaser and they discussed the property, and initially the request came with a possible transfer of the unopened road allowance, but with the request that's coming through, it's staying in the township's ownership.
Okay.
So it's basically the description of what is to happen is in the resolution itself, but Ted's online if you would like some clarification or.
Okay. Ted, is there anything you'd like to add? We've got the letter that you sent through. Is there anything else you'd like to add as background information on this one?
Not really. We sort of discussed it when I was there last time. I think the only difference now is that all of the hatched parcels on the accompanying sketch, the red, blue, and yellow, will be municipally owned, and yeah, that will allow the Struts to get access to their property, and there's no cost to the municipality for this other than your own legal fees.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Great. Thanks, Ted. Okay, it's a fairly lengthy resolution, so bear with me. Whereas pursuant to the Municipal Act 2001, the Township of Armour has authority to acquire land for highway purposes and to open and assume highways by law. Whereas a portion of Pickerel and Jack Lake Road deviates from the original surveyed road allowance and currently crosses private lands owned by Edith Ann Strutt. being part of Lot 7, Concession 11, Township of Armour, PIN 52138-0251. And whereas the traveled portion of Pickerel and Jack Lake Road identified as the red hatched area and an adjacent small parcel of land identified as the blue hatched area are proposed to be transferred by Edith Ann Strutt to the Township of Armour, subject to a reference plan deposited in the Land Registry Office for inclusion in the township's road system through appropriate bylaw. And whereas the original surveyed road allowance identified as the yellow hatched area is currently unopened and will be retained by the township for future municipal purposes, and whereas the trustees executors of the estate of Ethel Andrews has agreed to pay all surveying costs associated with the proposed land transfer, and each party shall be responsible for its own legal cost. Now, therefore, be it resolved, Council Township of Armour hereby supports the transfer of the travel portion of Pickerel and Jack Lake Road, the red hatched area, and the adjacent small parcel, the blue hatched area, from Edith Ann Strutt to the Township of Armour, subject to legal and survey confirmation and the registration of a reference plan in the Land Registry Office. 2, authorizes the preparation and passage of an appropriate opening bylaw to include the transferred lands into the township's road system in accordance with the Municipal Act 2001. 3, confirms that the unopened original surveyed road allowance, the yellow hatched area between concessions 10 and 11 and lot 7, shall remain in township ownership and may be brought into the township road system by future bylaw if required in order to provide frontage on an open public road with access arising by virtue of such frontage and not by way of any private right or easement to abutting lands, including those of the trustees, executors of the estate of Ethel Andrews. 4, acknowledges that all surveying costs related to this matter shall be paid by the trustees, executors of the estate of Ethel Andrews, and that each party shall be responsible for their own legal expenses, and directs township staff to take all necessary steps to complete the land transfer and road opening process in accordance with this resolution.
You did it.
Can I get a mover? Rod and Dorothy. Sorry, Wendy, we'll get you on another one here.
No problem.
Okay, any other questions for Ted or Charlene on this one? It's pretty straightforward. No cost except legal costs. That's good. All those in favor? That's carried. Thanks for your help, Ted. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. Good night.
Good night.
Good evening.
I just moved to, I'll be 10 seconds. You,
Thanks, you went outside.
Wait for Dorothy to get back.
That's right from your toes.
oh, you heard it.
Oh, yeah.
That's a real fog one.
I wasn't gonna do it in here. Can you imagine? The papers in the shook.
I heard that in Berks Falls Council chambers.
Did you hear it, Wendy?
Did you hear Wendy's recorded?
I did not.
Okay, we're up to bylaw. We have one bylaw, and this is to enter an agreement for regional economic development services. We'll read the bylaw and then we'll have discussion. Council of Township of Armour have read and approved bylaw 8-2026, being a bylaw to enter into an agreement for the provision of regional economic development services and to repeal bylaw 36-2019. We authorize the mayor and clerk to sign this bylaw and affix the seal of the corporation thereto. Waiting for Wendy's hand. We got Wendy, Church, and I got Jerry. Sorry, Ron. Okay. So this is the new agreement for economic development. I guess Wendy or Dave, further background on this one?
I can just speak to the new bylaw. It lists our current partners. So Berks Falls pulled out this year and South River provided notice as well. So we now are dealing with Perry, McMurray, Monteith, Armour, Sundridge, Strong, Jolly, and the Chamber of Commerce is our active supporting members of regional economic development. I'm assuming I'll report on our last meeting at a later date. This is just the bylaw for now. Dave, I don't know if you want to add anything to that?
I think Nicole's notes for the agreement for the bylaw itself. So because essentially a lot of the work done in 2025 was to revisit the agreement, which some partners had some issues with, and duly so. There were a number of outdated items in the previous agreement that was signed in 2019. Some partners who had left and the agreement wasn't revised. The former clerk treasurer administrator had stated at that point and advised at that point that if the other members are still contributing and paying, the agreement still stands until it's brought up for revision. Based on some of the feedback we received, it was brought up for revision. This agreement is for 2 years, set to expire roughly in line with when our current FedNor grant expires. So we've got 2 years under this agreement, and I suppose the purpose that has been discussed at ACE is to look at the future sustainability in the absence of funding. But this new agreement brings everything up to current as the situation that we find ourselves in now, with the partners that have indicated their support for the agreement prior to the circulation. So we have received a number of signed bylaws back from partner municipalities, with some still outstanding, but no red flags or issues from the partners listed in the agreement as it stands currently. So that's the Coles notes.
Okay.
If a partner changes their mind, could they get back on board?
Haven't refused one yet.
Good answer.
Do the other townships in the area get a copy of this report? It might be an idea if it was sent to all the different townships and ask the clerk to give it to their counselors.
Mm-hmm.
There's a possibility that they, oh, what do you mean? You know, might change things.
So I guess the easiest way to put it is the communication with councils all across the region, members and non-members, has been high for the last 2 years. Copies of annual reports get circulated along with invitations for them to consider jumping on board. And the board discussed, which I'm sure Wendy will touch on further on down in reports, the board had discussed promoting, in particular, the infographics that show the key performance indicators and other items that ACE has achieved throughout the year, which it has come to our attention recently that not all, even partner or former partner municipalities, are aware that there are measurables that are tracked every year, key performance indicators that are set at the beginning of each year and followed up on at the end. So, and it just gives a sense of what is ACE doing anyway in an infographic that's digestible with a link to contact ACE staff or board members for additional information where possible. So long answer to a short question. The short answer is yes, it does go to far and wide to let people know what we're up to.
I just thought if there was a little roadblock somewhere, that if the question was put to the CEOs or whatever the other townships or clerks, please pass this on to your council.
Yeah.
That's all.
Mm-hmm. And to Rod's question, it is an election year.
Yep.
So some of these municipalities may change their mind at some point. And
yeah,
Dave says, I don't think we'd refuse anybody.
No, and the board is discussing other potential revenue generating options that may provide different solutions to municipalities who either may find themselves not in the position to become a full member or what have you. So while I won't go into depth on that because it is still being discussed at the board, we're looking at other ways to make services accessible, and the implications of that, I guess, is the safe way to put it.
Yeah. Okay. So we have a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Carried.
Just on the topic, sort of off the topic, just out of curiosity, of these members that are in the new agreement, how many of them are in the health hub here in Burks Falls?
How many use the health hub?
Well,
Like Sundridge has their own health. Is that what you mean?
says
Like how many would utilize those services?
how like the The health,
Oh, the
Health
health
council.
council.
the health council.
All, they're all members.
Okay.
Okay, we are into reports, and coincidentally, ACE is the first one up. So we have the January 22nd, 2026 meeting and the 2025 annual report, 2026 work plan, staff report, et cetera. That's all under item 7. And I guess Wendy and Dave, begin back to you guys for a synopsis. And we do have a resolution coming up under item 8, the draft budget.
So I'll just speak, I'll speak to the last ACE meeting that we had, and just a general comment. This agenda's got an awful lot of information about ACE on it. Our work plan, the annual report for 2025, the infographic. I would just appreciate if everybody would take the time to read through that information. It's, I think it's important that we all understand what ACE is doing and how it is such a great tool for our businesses and our community. And if we get asked, well, I'm not sure what ACE does, the reports and the information here is very, very telling. And the board spends a lot of time trying to discuss and determine how we can bring some more partners on board. We're continuing to lose partners, even with the transition that we did going to 2 staff members, which reduced everybody's contribution. We still have a number of municipalities that have determined. I don't think it's a case of they don't see the value. I think it's a case of them trying to watch their spending. And ACE is not, at this point, being considered as a core services that's needed across the district. So I think if we can spend some time reading the information there, it will become more educated, and hopefully we can do a lot of self-promotion. The board continues to try to determine how we can do a better job of patting ourselves on the back and promoting ACE as a regional economic development board that's there to help businesses and help communities. It is a struggle when we see we've got a fragmentation now across Almaguin when you look at the communities that are financially contributing and the ones that aren't. Our staff are charged with promoting Almaguin and promoting businesses through the business directories, through different events that are carrying on. And those events could be in municipalities that aren't supportive, or some are events that are carried on in supporting the municipalities. But if they're going to do their job well, they have to be inclusive. And the board is struggling with how we do that. And we are striking another committee, a subcommittee, to look at what services we can offer for what costs and try and keep it fair to everyone. And it's quite challenging. And I do feel for our staff, because I think they've day to day, they have to answer those phones and determine, okay, how are we going to approach this with these paid members and these non-paid members when it comes to municipalities and the businesses that are in those municipalities. So it is a struggle, and it seems to be becoming more of a challenge for them. But the good news, when you read through the information, is they're doing a wonderful job. There's a lot of good things happening in our area, and that infographic is very telling. So I think we just have to continue to raise awareness, and hopefully with a new term of council, we might see some municipalities decide that they want to be involved again. Armour's case, our our contribution this year is gone from 31,808 down to 26,783, and that's based on the transition that we've made to the two staff. What else do I want to highlight? Yeah, I think that's it. It was a very long meeting. Our meeting last week, and a lot of time is being spent on, can we do a better job of self-promotion, and what should that look like? Yeah, that's where we're at. Dave, I'll let you add anything you would like from that. The subcommittee is not going to be a large committee, but it's just going to basically be some members that can meet over the next month and try and look at where we can generate some more revenue and come up with some creative solutions. That's it for me.
Thanks, Wendy.
Yeah, nothing. No, I think you did a great job of capturing the spirit of the meeting and the discussions that I'm sure will continue over the meetings to come. I think that there was a lot of discussion around, at what point, if depending on who we include in various things, and we'll use a lot of the very highly engaged content that Explore Almaguin puts out, or that we put out under the Explore Almaguin brand. At what point are we doing a disservice if we're excluding or including people based on membership, and will that affect our efficacy as we continue to draw people into the area? So, what users do our users suffer or readers suffer if this fragmentation continues, and also, how do we continue to excel and create positive results such that we catch the attention of potentially prospective council members who may see an interest in making sure businesses are supported the region over, and the larger issue of how do we make this sustainable in the long run. So again, I think Wendy, you covered it. You covered it very well. Not too much extra to add, but I do agree with the point of I think the more up to speed councillors around all council tables are, the better for promoting ACE and the value to all community members and stakeholders.
Questions for Wendy or Dave? Great. Thanks for the report, Wendy and Dave. Great. Attached to that, we do have the draft budget for ACE for this year, so like the resolution for Armour's contribution. Council of Township of Armour approved the draft 2026 ACE budget in the amount of $241,300, with the Township of Armour's contribution being $26,783.
Sure.
Rod.
Wendy, do you want to? Or
Sure.
Not that I don't fully support it, but you speak to it so well.
Do we have any other questions on this one? All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. Next up is item 9. We have the OPP board January 14th meeting. It's the one that Dan goes to, right? Not sure if anyone has any questions they want to send back to the OPP board. None noted. And we have next item 10 is the DSAB report.
Yeah, this is a report I warned everybody about.
6.87% increase.
That's sad.
Could you ask them to sit down with Amy?
What's that?
Sally's printing on the side there, just a little.
I just mean sit down with Amy.
Kind of guessed that it was.
The thing is, we went up, but the DSAB budget didn't go up 6.87. But because we did so well in Armour Township by pulling in more people building, then we pay a higher percentage because we grew. And if you look at some of the other people, they didn't grow as much. And it's one way of looking at other townships like Brooks Falls, 85 grand, whereas we're at 427. And for instance, Kearney, we're above them now. One time Kearney was
We used to be negative.
way above everybody. So I would say as a community, Armour has the ability to pay better now. Because we're taking in.
I didn't realize Kearney that was that big. That's
Hmm?
cool. I didn't realize Magnet or
Yeah, well, yeah, we're paying more money, but we're paying the proper share.
I had no idea Archipelago was that big.
It's huge.
That's-
And trust me, every year, actually, it's not Archipelago. Go down to see what.
Yeah, I saw the but I thought that they were an island archipelago.
Oh, no, they're
The amount.
pretty much all from Prairie Sound above.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's huge. And they have a lot of Georgian Bay properties in Lakeshore and $1 million places. So we're not quite there yet, the $1 million ones. We're starting.
Well, Rod is doing an addition. New garage.
Any questions for Jerry on the report? There's a DSAP housing meeting tomorrow that I'm taking part in. I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know what the whole agenda is. I probably go back and look at it.
That's the one, I forgot about that. That's the one up in the South River?
It's on Zoom, so it's.
Oh, on Zoom,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Okay. Next up, Ag Society, January 15th, 2026 meeting.
Well, it was lovely. They talked about their signs.
That I didn't put up.
They talked about that. I was not a part of the meeting. I just sat here. Well, I sat in the kitchen because we ran out of chairs. But it was well attended. I don't know how many people normally come.
It is busy.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
The fall fair is going to happen. They talked about the signage for the fall fair, the Armour, Ryerson, Berks Falls Agricultural Society being on the sign. They talked about contributions.
So when you say sign, are they gonna make new,
Yeah, Wilma was in. She just wants it to say fall fair.
but they're gonna make new,
It sounds like it, but there was concern because they just bought those ones, the old ones.
yeah.
So they're not expensive to make. It's expensive to get shipped up. So it's about $2 or $3 a sign. By the time they're shipping for 100 signs, all of a sudden it's $700 because the
Okay.
frame posts come with it.
Okay.
So Wilma had indicated that she didn't necessarily need the steel frames. So I sent her an email with 2 different options of designs. I said, maybe don't go the yellow and black, do it on white with red lettering, and see what Leonard Peacock would quote them.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anything back. So.
That was a comment. There was a lot of criticism for their sign wording from before.
It's the acronym. Nobody knew what the acronym is.
No, and so I really don't think they should advertise. I think they I personally think they should just say fall fair.
So there was a lot of talk around that from what I understood. And one person said that they were from somewhere down by Fergus or something like that. And it was necessary to say Fergus Fall Fair because otherwise you wouldn't know who was having the fall fair. So there was a lot of conversation around the signs, but it sounds like if she's come to you with some clear
Given her some
instruction.
options.
Yes.
Maybe she may take the 2 design options to the next meeting. I don't know.
Okay.
But regardless, I said, you've got to have Berks Falls in it somewhere because it's Berks Falls Fairgrounds or it's in Berks Falls. And if someone's posting signs at Ryerson for the fall fair because it's, the 3 municipalities.
Well, it's not the
Berks
Berks Falls
Falls
Fairground. It's the Knights Brothers.
It's the Knight Brothers Park and the Berks Falls Fairgrounds.
So either way, I'm sure that they will make a great decision. It was well attended and they would like tea in the future, Rod.
I'll bring myself a tea. Just out of curiosity, where do the signs come from?
It's a company called Print One. and they're out of Brampton. They're the cheapest ones that I could find online.
But if we could pick them up,
It's, yeah, Brampton.
I just wonder if that's an option as opposed to,
Oh, yeah, you can. I think that's what they may have considered doing the one time, but then something happened and somebody couldn't go down and get them.
okay,
There was also a lot of talk about the bands that performed last year and have performed historically, and what people want, what they want to listen to.
I've got to get on that.
Performers.
My criticism was the timing of the band. It overdrowned a lot of things that the other events that the Aggies were putting on. So I said, you need to coordinate when the band is on versus when the log cutting people are on. Because I said the log cutting overrode everything. So nobody knew what was going on.
Also,
Anyway, we'll do good.
do we have any idea how much it would cost to purchase bouncy, like inflatables?
You have to buy special ones.
Absolutely, but
Yes,
but I wonder if it would be like between Agriculture Society, Heritage Day. I'm sure Day will have a birthday party at some point. I wonder if it would be worthwhile for the municipality to buy them and rent them out. Rent them to Sunderidge, rent them to Perry.
Find a space to store them. And then what I find with with those inflatables, people get bored of them. I mean, you can only have the inflatable fire truck so many times before they're like, well, that's repetitive, right?
You're looking at storage, you're looking at delivering them or picking them up.
Okay.
Those things are friggin' heavy.
Yeah, okay. All right, never mind then. But they did discuss the cost of inflatables and the bands as well. So
It's a good idea though.
we could build another place out at Watt Farm.
You build one, you can just soon give you that one.
All right, well, we got a place for our inflatables, guys.
Okay, questions on the Ag Society for Dorothy?
Thank you again.
Next up, Historical Society. We have
Baby cookies.
With this one, this is for you, Shar.
Yeah, so the meeting was actually canceled because of the snowstorm. I've kept the agenda in. This was brought up before the last council meeting, just as an email to everybody to give you a heads up. The item's still up for a discussion at the February meeting, but basically what's happened is that we don't have any active members from the Historical Society in Fell Homes at this point. So we're relying on someone to come down and open up. And I guess there's been some concerns expressed within the building with the residents. There isn't an issue at this point, but it would be good to know that council's supportive of allowing me to sit here on the third Monday of the month and bring the Historical Society here. We got better parking, better lighting. Like I park down by the arena, so does Diane, and then we've got to walk down that road, go down the back end. And it's not so bad in the summer, but in the winter, it's going to be a cold walk and slips and falls.
Since we used to do the meetings, the Agricultural Society used to do the meetings at the arena. Since I've been doing them here, it's far better. Like we don't have any conflicting things going on. There's not a hockey game. There's not, so I can see the same thing going on there. And you're right, there is nowhere to park there.
No. And the Historical Society is a smaller group than the Agricultural Society right now, but not that matters, but it's just, I think it's an option, a different venue for them in case something happens with Fell Homes. It doesn't leave the Historical Society stranded for a meeting place. I don't think felt like going to the Watt Farmhouse. The place we'd have to go up there ahead of time to warm it up right now and parking and whatnot. It just would make things easier if council would consider it. And then the resolution that I've presented for consideration actually speaks to if you need the facility here, that it's not a for sure thing that it's every month through Monday, right? So.
Okay. So we do have a resolution for this one. Is there anything else you want to cover off from that?
Oh, that's good.
If you didn't have, the meeting got postponed. Okay, whereas the Berks Falls and District Historical Society has expressed interest to change the location of its monthly meetings from Fell Home to the Township of Armour's council chambers, now therefore be it resolved, the Township of Armour 1 approves the use of the council chambers to host the monthly meetings of the Berks Falls and District Historical Society at no cost. 2, confirms that meetings will be held on the third Monday of each month. 3, directs that any changes to the meeting date must be approved by the township staff. And 4, acknowledges that the use of the council chambers is subject to availability and any applicable township policies regarding the use of municipal facilities. Dorothy? Wendy? Any more questions? All those in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you.
No problem. Last but not least, the library board, January 21st meeting.
So the meeting was, in-house meeting was canceled. They did a Zoom meeting. I did do 2, but not very good. I told them I personally, I hate the Zoom meetings. It just, to me, they don't work well. I find one of the big things that I don't like are when people interrupt. So when somebody's making a presentation and it's a Zoom meeting, every time somebody goes, "Oh yeah, great," or "Oh, by the way," like there's so much back conversation going on. It's cutting in and out. And personally, it's just, I find it disrespectful to interrupt somebody when they're making a presentation. And then you can see sometimes people they start to stammer. They don't where they left off when they got in, and they start all over again. So that was that. The one thing that we're the agreement with the post office and the library boards has always been very well received as far as the use for the library, interlibrary loan and whatnot, something like that. We traditionally pay $1.80 to send a book or pick a book up for somewhere. Now it's going to be in the neighborhood of $20. So there was an agreement in the past that the libraries had that agreement with Canada Post, and they were throwing it under the bus. So I think, do we have a resolution?
We do.
Okay. So we want to support that.
It's your 130th birthday.
Pardon me?
130th birthday.
Yeah. The Nieva's got 2 donations for sure. I'm not sure if there's 3, but I didn't have a pen quick enough to write them down. But there's been people donating again just to the library. One was $1,000, so it makes a big difference on stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't get to participate. There was quite a conversation about staff volunteering hours. And some people thought apparently that staff volunteering should be paid for their time. Well, unfortunately, I couldn't get heard. But it's like a volunteer hour is a volunteer hour. You're either volunteering or you're not. I don't think we should make it a provision for people that want to volunteer, but then to get paid for their time. That's contradictory to what the whole thought is.
Is that staff volunteering extra hours, or is that people volunteering that are not?
Staff volunteering on programs that the libraries put on.
I think that we need to provide enough hours that they can be paid for the hours they're working, so they do not have to volunteer.
However you word it, I don't want somebody volunteering and get paid for the volunteer hour. The wording bothers me. You're volunteering or you're not. And like Nieva's and I had a conversation. She's going to word things a little differently. It was like the library is, I'll use the fall fair, for example. The library is going to be on location for the fall fair, and Nieva's has always been volunteering to go to the fall fair and present the library, and staff are welcome to go if you want to go as a volunteer.
Right.
Don't expect to get volunteer hour paid. So there was a little miscommunication, I believe, on how things were worded or how things were asked or the perception of what was going on. So I think they're just trying to clarify.
I don't think it's fair to ask our staff to volunteer their time at the fair. You don't ask. It's not fair to ask our library staff to volunteer their time at Heritage Day, but pay by law to be at Heritage Day. right? I don't think it's fair to say, we would like you to represent the library, you are not being paid.
Wording is everything. How things presented need to be handled delicately because the library is going to be represented. And if you would like to volunteer, you're more than welcome.
Right.
Cut and dry.
But if they don't volunteer, is the library not going to be represented?
No, the others does.
Volunteering?
Yeah,
She's there as a volunteer.
she's there as a volunteer. She's quite happy to volunteer.
But is it during paid hours?
No, she's volunteering. She understands the word volunteering.
I think it's important to note that this is done very differently across a lot of different departments.
Yes.
And even in shared services, I know Amy will go in and tend to get word out about things that are happening with either emergency management or landfill at various events. And as far as I'm concerned, it is of public benefit to have Amy present at those to get this information out. Similar with bylaw in terms of their presence there. Similar to when we send economic development out to promote ACE services to businesses who they might not otherwise have a chance to get engaged with. That I see value in terms of promoting the service itself. I don't. So there's competing camps of viewing this, and as far as I'm concerned, if the promotion of those services increases usership or participation in programs, I think the competing interest is if it creates a very weird situation. So to your point, if we have a staff member, we won't mention names, just hypothetically, if we have a staff member that says, you know what, it's important that people know about these programs so they can take advantage of this valuable program, and they want to do that altruistically, sure. But does that create an internal expectation, especially if it's a leadership team member that is volunteering to do that? Does that create an expectation for volunteerism to be I don't want to say mandated, but is there an expectation that's placed on that? So there's competing schools of thought. I know, as far as I'm concerned, if it aids the service or people's awareness of the service such that they may benefit from it, and it's I consider that in the course of one's duties. And generally speaking, they are paid. So there's competing schools of thought. I think it's important to know that there's many different ways of kind of doing that. And if it's the staff that's coming forward and say, well, I don't want to be here if I'm not getting paid, but I don't want to have a potential finger pointed at me for not showing up when others are, then there's probably other elements that are worthwhile considering from either a board perspective or a staff recommendation perspective.
And I understand what you're saying with the word volunteer. If you're volunteering, you're not being paid, period. However, I think maybe the volunteer piece needs to be taken out. If you are representing the library, you're not volunteering, but you are representing the library. You're being paid to represent the library at the fall fair.
So, so you're right. So Nieves has pointed out, and I forgot to mention, is we have Friends of the Library are stepping up and are going to the Friends of the Library, not a part of the library board, but library. It's a group of volunteers that are trying to enhance things at the library, help out financially where they can. So that group is going to step up a little more. And Nieves asked all the board members, if I am so adamant I don't want a person to be volunteering and getting paid, I'll volunteer if I feel that strongly about it. So it started, I think, from miscommunication, or maybe not miscommunication, but misuse of words. And then somebody interpreted this, which took it out of context, I guess.
I think if I'm an employee of the library and I'm at the library or representing the library, I need to be paid because I'm an employee of the library. If I'm an employee of the school board and I'm expected to do something because I'm an employee of the school board, I'm going to be paid for that time, right?
It's tricky because it comes up all the time, right? When you think, so when we look at the Winter Carnival, Danica's going to be there all weekend. She's running it. She should be paid for that. But if Charlene says, well, I'll come in and flip pancakes on Sunday morning, Charlene's basically saying, I want to volunteer. I just want to help out.
Yep.
But she's still a staff member and it's still
I
something.
think it depends.
But she doesn't come in to volunteer to do planning.
But I think it depends on how involved the person is in organizing the event.
Right.
So while you're speaking, I'm thinking Heritage Day.
Yeah.
Right? So Heritage Day, we've never been paid per se, but what we've always done in the past is how many hours staff put in that day, they get it in lieu, right? So it's banked. Instead of getting paid for it, if I need 4 hours off, following week, then I can take it off to do whatever, right?
Yeah.
But if I look at it as that's a good example. I go and say, I'll flip pancakes. I wasn't part of the organization of that event. So yes, I'm volunteering. But if I become part of planning the event and it's critical that that employee be there for the success
then it's different.
Then it's different.
I'll make it even more simple. If I'm organizing that event and I manage staff and I say I need bodies,
Then they're being paid.
yeah. And I'm not suggesting that's the case with this particular case, but I think if there is a need there for either staff expertise or staff to be there for any reason because of their expertise, I guess is the best word for it. Such as the examples that we've made. Maybe they're not directly comparable to the situation we're discussing here with the library, but as far as I'm concerned, I've always been a firm believer: pay the worker what they're worth. And if they're there to represent those programs or to help with certain technical pieces, but to the difference of the flipping pancakes, heck, if I'm available, I don't mind helping out.
Yeah, that's great.
If we say to Ally, we need you to come and you need to sit at the door
Right.
and sell the ticket because you are our treasurer, then she's going to be paid.
Yeah.
But if we're like, hey, would you like to flip pancakes because you really love the heritage or the carnival, well, she's not being paid. Right. Like you said, if we're using your expertise.
If she volunteers and says, hey, I don't have anything going on, do you need me, is one thing. But if you have if your supervisor or someone coming up and saying, we need someone volunteers this day.
And I think without belaboring, I think, Rod, the point that you had made earlier is the point that needs to be camped on. If I think that whatever the commitment is probably should be either documented or in writing that, I am agreeing to volunteer for this and that, I'm not being coerced or otherwise.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, and I'm not suggesting we go with full legal documentation, but what I am suggesting is make sure the lines are clear. I mean, the people at the library, all the staff at the library are absolutely fantastic, and it wouldn't surprise me in the least to know that they're all champing at the bit to volunteer for this. But in the event that it's not, or that it has become expected across anything, then again, I think it's important that lines be made straight. And that there is that understanding of if this request came forward from a staff member saying, well, are we not getting paid for this? Then that warrants looking into some stuff.
And I had a quick conversation with Nieves. I don't know where it came from. I understand, from my understanding it was a statement misrepresented or misinformed and then taken out of context, I think is how it started. I will know more by next meeting.
Okay. So we do have a resolution related to the Canada Post issue. Actually, there's two of them, right, Sharon? The other one's supporting Sundridge.
Yeah.
Okay. Council Township of Armour expresses its concern with the amendment to the Canada Post Corporation Act within Bill C-15 that could result in the disappearance of a reduced rate of postage for library materials lent by a library to a borrower, including by means of an interlibrary loan. And that interlibrary loans are an essential part of how libraries operate, provide access to material for the millions of library users in Canada. And that as a small rural library, the Burkes Falls Armour and Ryerson Union Public Library depends on loans from other libraries to supplement its collection and relies on Canada Post to deliver those materials at a reduced rate. Further, that if Canada Post is allowed to increase the postal rate that supports this service without oversight from Parliament or the Government of Canada, there could be a devastating effect, putting a strain on already tight library budgets threatening the ability of libraries to offer this essential service that ensures access, equity, and literacy for all. And now therefore be it resolved, the Council Township of Armour encourages the federal government to ensure that Canada Post continues to provide library postal rate so that library services remain accessible for all of Canada through interlibrary loans. Dorothy. Seconder. Wendy. Okay. All those in favor? And that's carried. And we have a related resolution. Council Township of Armour supports the village of Sunbridge and calls upon the federal government to ensure that Canada Post continues to provide a library postal rate in order to maintain equitable access to library services across Canada, including through interlibrary loan programs.
Sure.
Jerry?
Sure.
Rod? All those in favor? Carried. All righty. Couple of other quick reports or announcements. The Ontario Senior Games are going on starting next week. They're in Huntsville this year. So these are for 55 plus citizens. Some of the events are being held at the Armour Burks Falls Ryerson Arena, for those who didn't know. It just happens to be that the tournament that's going on there is the seniors 75 plus division. And it includes a team from London that are actually 80 plus. Every member of their team is 80 plus. They wanted to put an 80 plus team in. They didn't have a division for it. So they said, okay, we'll play the young guys, and they're playing in the 75. So it should be a hoot. There's 6 teams, I think, in that one. And I'm actually playing at the Summit Center with the 65 plus group for Huntsville. So should be fun. But we are a part of it. So the arena is being used here, and I think the one at Baysville is being used as well.
I heard a team name today that I thought was super cute. It's the A team, but like EH.
EH, yeah.
I was like, that's adorable.
Is that the women's team? That's one of the teams in Huntsville.
A team.
Story related to that, we got a very nice thank you from the Almeguin Ice Devils under 13 team for our contribution 2 meetings ago, I believe it was. And a nice letter from the team thanking everybody. So appreciate the donation. The letter's there if you guys want to read through it.
And Scott Aitchison did a thing regarding the Special Olympics baseball team.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're getting lots of donations.
Somebody else we donated to.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. Do we want to continue on with unfinished business before we break, or do we want to break?
There were some more resolutions for correspondence.
Do unfinished business, because we're going to be going into close, right?
Yeah, okay, let's press on. And Dave pointed out that I missed a couple of resolutions. So there's just additional materials in the correspondence from 13 to 18. Yeah, a couple of resolutions related. First up is the Land O'Lakes fundraiser. That's item number 14. Council of the Township of Armour approve a donation in the amount of blank to the Land O'Lakes School to support the grade 8 end of year trip. And last year we donated $200. So whoever moves can make a suggestion.
I'll do 200 again.
So we have Rod at 200. Jerry seconds. All those in favor? Carried.
The OPP detachment board.
Yeah. Seeing what item that was. Is that 15?
15.
Okay. Item 15, Council Township of Armour hereby supports the Grenville 1 OPP Detachment Board in advocating for enhanced school bus safety across Ontario, including provincial funding, legislative support, and the implementation of school bus stop arm camera systems and complementary child safety technologies. and further authorizes the mayor to sign the form letter petitioning the province of Ontario, noting that this letter was endorsed by the Grenville OPP Detachment Board at its meeting held January 8th, 2026, and is co-signed by representatives of the municipality of North Grenville and the village of Merrickville, Wolford. Gonna move it, Jerry
I'll second.
and Dorothy. Any questions on that? All in favor?
Great idea.
Yeah, makes sense.
I've seen people drive right by buses.
Crazy that people still do that, and all the lights and everything they've got.
Well, and just like the public awareness. And raging mothers. Very brave to drive by a bus with a mother standing there.
Yeah.
I saw a young person, a little kid actually. And God forbid if somebody hadn't stopped, the kid went running across the road and slipped on the ice and was on their back. And like from a distance, you could almost hardly see them laying on, and like the mom come walking out of the driveway, grabbed them, picked them up, and went, but it was like, oh my freaking Lord. That was too close as it was like,
Yeah.
I saw it go on. I thought it would be just as easy for somebody to say there's nobody there.
Yeah, yeah.
Mary.
Are you taking a break now or are you
Well,
going?
let's do unfinished business because I don't think it'll take us too long. Item number 19 is the letter from the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. So this is regarding the septic approvals.
Mhm.
And I guess the next steps on that.
I emailed that to you, the date that I received it, just because the closing for the registry was on January 22nd for comments.
Okay.
And then there was one submission on it.
And there's a note from North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority. So it's Perry, Seguin, McMurk, Monfleet, Armour, and McDougall that have applied for this. So that's now just wait and see on that one.
Yeah, there was some discussion with some of the CBOs that are listed here, or that are employed by those listed here, with regard to this particular resolution. And there was one of the CBOs who's kind of helped lead the charge on things, who was considering preparing a response, as there was some frustration from CBOs with regard to some of the content in this resolution and the accuracy thereof. So there was going to be, I think, a little bit of pushback coming. I haven't seen any formal statement at this point, but my understanding was that there were some surprises, we'll say, with the comment that was the comments in the
Yeah,
resolution.
because the Conservation Authority, obviously, you can see in that resolution, is opposing it and states specifically in reason number 4 about 2 townships mentioned in the revision or without a CBO.
And my understanding is that there, with the CBO network locally, that there are significant concerns with staffing shortages at the North Bay Mattawa Conservation Authority. So
it's tips of that.
yeah.
So there's going to be a rebuttal to the rebuttal, is what you're saying.
I don't know whose court it's in now, but
Okay.
the game is live.
The ball is, it's live.
So that's items 19 and 20. And then 21 is just the notice of refusal of the official plan amendment and the zoning bylaw amendment for the Pegs Mountain Road BES application. So that's the official wording that has been sent off. And there has been no further update that we're aware of, right, Charlene?
Not as of 4:30 today.
Okay. Actually, you know what? Why don't we just finish off new business, and because we're going into closed anyway. We might as well we can have our break and then we can go into closed. Makes more sense.
You remind me, number 22. I'm sure I asked this last year. Jerry and Wendy, their benefits are 300. Is that because you guys are retired?
CPP is not good.
Okay.
I'm old.
Because you're old? Okay.
And mine will drop this year.
Well, it'll just be you and me, Rod. Paying full benefits to the tax man.
We have a resolution for this one. Council of Township of Armour approved the 2025 council statement of remuneration and expenses as presented by the treasurer. Furthermore, that the statement be posted on the Township of Armour's website. Mover, Rod. Seconder.
Sure.
I saw Wendy's hand go up.
Okay.
Just all those in favor? That is carried.
Who did you get to second that, Jerry or Wendy?
It was Wendy.
Okay, thanks.
There was a bit of a hesitation because of the latency between us and Zoom, but
I was just wondering, my DSAB, is that in the total of the 95? It shouldn't be.
We have to talk to the treasurer about that.
Yeah, I know. You know, note on
I know
there.
where to find it, Jerry.
That was the number, she was waiting on the DSAP numbers in order to.
So I know, but she got totals there, but it's sort of misleading because that's paid by somebody else.
Between
And then
the,
whereas people could construe that as it's out of our budget, but it's not.
I think it's just what you were paid in general.
But it is out of our, like, they pay it to the municipality and the municipality pays it to you, so it is still part of this budget.
No.
Oh, DSAP pays you directly?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it's shown in the previous agenda item and the DSAP for you and Sean.
I'll tease her later.
All right.
Call her right now.
Final, last but not least on the regular agenda is the municipal election key date. So that's item number 23. Charlene will be into the thick of that pretty soon.
I love the quote from the mayor of Innisfil. Like, people get into this because they have one issue, not realizing that municipal government is a lot of issues.
Yeah, I see. I got to get 25 voters.
What?
They do, yeah. We don't. Municipalities, you don't, like us, Armour, you don't have to have 25 signatures supporting your nomination.
Okay.
If a bigger.
It's only a certain population, right?
Yeah, I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
I had Wendy probably knows right off the top.
But it said right here, when you
It's
vote.
this is for all of Ontario.
Yeah,
How many is it, Wendy? Wait,
I didn't realize that, I remember that there was different rules for smaller or larger, but I don't know what the number is.
oh, I mean, yeah, that's where I was stuck on too.
so this is for Huntsville then, not for us.
This would be for, somewhere, I think I'm trying to remember what the number was. 5,000 or 10,000
Yeah.
population.
Okay.
Maybe 5.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
see
might be
that.
five. Yeah.
I was looking at that. I said, well, I couldn't get 25 people.
25 voters that would be the whole election.
I says, where are you gonna go? I guess I'll have to go to my family.
You'd be in trouble if you couldn't be related.
That's right.
I married the only one who's one who wasn't related to.
Okay, we're through the regular piece. We'll move into close. We'll have our break and then move officially into close. Council's Township of Armour hereby move into closed session at 8:47 p.m. Under section 2392B of the Municipal Act to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Mover, Dorothy, seconded Rod. All those in favor? We're going to close, but first we're going to get our snacks.
I'll just stop the recording. Hold on, I think I might have to let Nieves back. Oh, no, it's just.
We'll move forward as directed. We are now out of closed. Council Township of Armour adjourned this regular council meeting at 9:58 p.m. Till the next regular council meeting scheduled for February 10th, 2026, or to call the mayor or the clerk. And mover. Dorothy and Rod. Sure. In favor of leaving.
Good night, folks.
Thanks.
Hey, Wendy. Take it all. Hey, Wendy. Take it all out on the trails tomorrow, Wendy.
Bill.
You're probably the only person that's really enjoying. Oh, she's gone already.
Yeah, peace.
Got a glass of wine waiting on her.
I am just.
Hold on. Stop.